Hello! The core mission of the CHAISE project is to develop a strategic approach on the blockchain skills development for Europe. CHAISE delivers future-proof training solutions in order to tackle blockchain skills shortages and to respond to the current and future skill needs of the Europe blockchain workforce. In order to address this goal, in this project we have developed the blockchain learning outcomes to address the needs of the blockchain curriculum. Learning outcomes are statements of what learners should know, understand, and be able to do upon successful completion of the CHAISE blockchain course, and which will respond to the contemporary workplace requirements. To do so, we have applied the method for the learning outcomes definition. This method, it consists of two iterative stages. In the first stage, we were defining the learning outcomes themselves. In the second stage, we were seeing and agreeing about these learning outcomes with the project consortium, with the project partners. So let's look into each of the stages separately and let's see how these learning outcomes were developed. So, learning outcomes were developed on the previous deliverables from the CHAISE project. This included the study of the blockchain labor market, this included also the study of the supply of the skills, and also the study of the European blockchain skills strategy. The previous deliverables has highlighted the importance of three different types of the skills: technical and blockchain specific skills, professional and business skills, and transversal skills. And this was a very important input for defining our learning outcomes. In addition to that, we also looked into the international well-accepted standards for the learning and for the teaching and for the curricular definition. For instance, European Credit System for Vocational Education and Training also defines the learning outcomes as a statements of what the learner knows, understands, and is able to do on completion of the learning process. ECVET principles, they are used for various purposes, for definition of the qualification frameworks, for qualifications themselves, for designing curriculums, and similar. We also looked into the principles of the CEDFOP. And these principles, they define learning outcomes from two different perspectives. The first perspective includes the intended learning outcomes, as statements of what learners knows, understands, and is able to do on completion of learning process, which are defined in terms of knowledge, skills, and competences. And the second perspective is achieved learning outcomes, a set of knowledge, skills, and competences an individual has acquired and is able to demonstrate after completion of learning process, either formal or non-formal or informal way. It means that these principles, they can define what the learner needs to know, and also they allow us to measure the achievement of the learning process. CEDFOP principles also highlight the importance of use of well-accepted taxonomy in order to formulate the level of the knowledge. And this taxonomy, which is suggested by this principle, includes the Bloom taxonomy. Bloom taxonomy suggests the terms in which the learning outcomes can actually be defined. And these learning outcomes can be defined at the level for the knowledge, at the level of the comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, or evaluation. Another important input for defining learning outcomes was the European qualification framework, which allows us to express the knowledge, skills, responsibility, and autonomy of the learner on how he needs to use, on how he needs to be taught to get the skills and competences in the specific field. Knowledge can be defined as theoretical or factual. Skills can be described as cognitive or practical. Responsibility and autonomy is the ability of the learner to apply knowledge and skills autonomously and with responsibility. In the CHAISE project, we specifically focus on the EQF level 5, where the knowledge is the comprehensive, specialized, factual, and theoretical knowledge within a field of work or study, and an awareness of the boundaries of that knowledge. Skills are expressed as the comprehensive range of the cognitive and practical skills required to develop creative solutions to abstract problems. And finally, responsibility and autonomy. They define how to exercise management and supervision in context of work or study activities where there is unpredictable change, review and development performance of self and others. So in this project, in the CHAISE project, we focus on the EQF 5. In the second stage of the learning outcome definition, we have discussed the initially prepared learning outcomes with the project partners. We have received their feedback both on the way of how the international standards were applied, and also the feedback potentially to improve the learning outcomes. The feedback consideration was put into the learning outcomes, and then in this iterative process we have received the final result for the learning outcomes for the CHAISE curriculum. So let's look what are these learning outcomes and how they are defined. As the result learning outcomes, they are classified into 12 different modules, and let's look in each of these modules separately. So the first module speaks about the introduction to the blockchain technology. The main purpose here is to explain the main components of the blockchain technology, recognize its application sectors, and discuss the key historical facts of the blockchain technology development. The second module speaks about regulations, legal aspects, and governance of the blockchain systems. It explains blockchain-related regulation, legal aspects, governance, and their impact to the public and private sectors. Next module speaks about the fundamentals of the blockchain and distributed ledger technology. It describes the use of the blockchain technology and discusses differences between the centralized databases and distributed ledger, explain blockchain characteristics, components, and main security principles. The next module describes the blockchain business management and planning. It also describes the blockchain suitability for the business process innovation, discuss the fundamentals of blockchain use cases and use case implementation. Module 5, it speaks about the blockchain security and digital identity. More specifically, it describes how blockchain may secure data and information by utilizing the transaction protection and validation principles of blockchain access control and digital identity principles. In the next module on blockchain system architecture and consensus protocol, it is discussed how to construct architecture of blockchain-based applications, apply design patterns, compare different consensus protocols in order to build blockchain system using its specific architecture. The next module speaks about the blockchain platforms. It explains basic components and types of the blockchain platforms, demonstrates the node creation, account management, and transaction principles. Module 8, it speaks about marketing and customer support. It demonstrates marketing, customer support principles of the blockchain technology. Module 9, it describes applied cryptography principle. It applies the major digital signature schemas, cryptographic protocols, and tools to protect blockchain-based applications. In Module 10, we have the smart contract development. Here we discuss how to employ programming languages to develop smart contracts and digital currency. Module 11, it starts with the developing use cases from ideas to service. It describes the design heuristics for reaching customer needs, managing products, and creating services using the blockchain-based applications. Finally, Module 12, it speaks about the game theory in blockchains. It demonstrates how reason on the blockchain-based business and investment decision using the game theory models. So, in result, we have the 12 different modules which actually are used to define different occupational profiles. Already from the previous deliverables in the blockchain project, we have the set of the different skills as it was illustrated. These skills include the transversal skills, technical basic skills, business skills, technical blockchain specialization and business blockchain specialization, and very concrete skills regarding the use case development, use case definition, and business management. Now, once we have the CHAISE learning outcomes, we are able to map these different skills and these learning outcomes, and in order to define the learning modules. So, educational modules which would be recommended for the blockchain architect would include the following. The blockchain architect would need to know what is the blockchain technology, what is the regulation, legal aspects, governmental principles of blockchain systems, but he also needs to have the technical and business skills in order to be able to discuss these skills and architecture with his colleagues. Blockchain architect also needs to know the principles of the blockchain security and the digital identity. He needs to know system architecture and consensus protocols. He needs to know on how to design in the cryptographic principles, but also he needs to have the knowledge on how to develop blockchain use cases from ideas to the services. The next educational profile, it includes the blockchain developer. The blockchain developer needs to have the skills both in developing the blockchain itself, with the emphasis on the specific emphasis on the development skills, but it's also important that he would know some business skills and also have a lot of transversal skills to be able to take the responsibility and authority in the system development. Besides the same modules 1 to 3 to 4 on the blockchain development, on the principles and introduction for the blockchain system, the blockchain developer needs to know the principles of the blockchain security and digital identity. He needs to understand system architecture and consensus protocols, but he also needs to know on how to develop the smart contracts and deal with the digital currency programming. In addition to this, he needs to know the principles of the game theory be used in the blockchain. One more professional profile is blockchain manager. Blockchain manager, he needs to have the focus on the business skills, specifically with the economics and the business orientation. In addition, he needs to have strong transversal skills. In order to develop this professional profile, the learners, they need to understand the blockchain platforms. They need to know what are the marketing and customer support principles. They need to know how to develop the use cases from ideas to services and how to apply the game theory principles in the blockchain. In conclusion, we can see that educational modules potentially they cover this 5-semester training where we would have like 1,200 hours of direct teaching and training, and up to 900 hours of practical training. In total, this would make up to 150 ECVET. Thank you for your attention.